dun, dun. And I'm going to shut.
Basically, we'll do a little intro, introduce everyone, talk about how we first came to the film. Um, then we'll cut for a brief plot summary, which I haven't written, so maybe we'll edit in later. Or maybe I'll do it off the dome. It's a pretty basic plot.
I think you could probably
Yeah,
dome this one.
And then from there,
yeah.
it's really free form. We'll just talk about whatever.
Okay.
Bring up a few reviews at the end of varying qualities. I guess we have a time crunch, right? So let's jump right on in.
Matt, do we have any actual date on when we're going to go back to doing the list?
No.
Okay.
I think of your November. A couple people on Discord had suggested one, so I guess I'm going to give them their chance on those. And then Mark had the editor, so make your pick, I guess, because
Okay.
it looks like November is continuing.
Because yeah, the actors haven't agreed yet, right?
Yeah,
I think they're going back to the table like tomorrow, I think, but who knows?
yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll continue with November, and if we'll see what happens. So
In at number one on the shit list, it's the Hollywood studio system.
yeehaw! We're still going on, maybe for another month, because of what you just said. But let's turn our lens a little south of Hollywood today. Hi, this is Matt here.
This is Luke over here.
This is Mark down here.
That's right. On my screen, you're down there too. It's Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of podcasting, where we are keeping our lens firmly off of the Hollywood system, while that is being a train wreck. So, Luke, this is your choices, or is it Mark's choice? I'm not even sure his choice is.
This is complicated. This is a collaboration. This is a true collaboration because it was tossed around that Luke wanted to do one of these films, and my friend Chuck, who was on here for Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain, is something of an expert about these, or at least more than I am. And I was like, "What's the best Halloween Santo movie to watch?" And he suggested this one. So this was my first time watching this particular one.
I'm a big wrestling fan, but I had no idea about these films until Mercy, my girlfriend, told me that her dad is a big fan of them. And so today we're joined by one of the biggest film buffs I know, Anna Medina.
Hi. Hello, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
This is also, I think, the first time I've ever watched Santo movie. Mercy might have overstated the fact that our dad is a big fan. It was a big deal when he was growing up, but lucha libre, who would have known? It's a big thing in Mexico. I had no idea. So, yeah.
I guess it's like how older Japanese people be more into Ultraman than say. I mean, there are kids today that dig it, but it's like late 60s and 70s when that was really like hitting the ground and running. Sorry, Mark.
I was gonna say, without saying numbers, I wouldn't be surprised if some of my friends who are into Santo movies are the same age as your parents. So I don't know. It's possible.
Who knows? No, like I of course, as a Mexican growing up in Mexico, I had an idea who El Santo was because he's such an iconoclast. Like his face is everywhere, and I did know that there were a lot of movies made about lucha libre, but this is the first time I think I've ever seen one fully, completely, and it was interesting. Definitely an experience. What did you guys think of the movie?
Oh man, this is how all movies should be made. It's just generic horror movie plot, but then there's just some luchadors there as well. And it's like,
right.
This falls right there in the Venn diagram where the stuff I like and the stuff Luke likes. I absolutely love this. I mean, for not to get too far into it early on, but it's just a world where everything is real. It's just Satan is real, Dracula's real, Santo is, the smartest man alive. He's friends with every scientist, and you just do, the last Santo movie I watched before this was the other Dracula movie, and he invented a time machine in that. And he goes back in time to deal with Dracula. Yeah, no, absolutely rules.
I'm about 25 years late to this because right around the year 2000, something weird was putting out on DVD, was putting out all those twofers on DVD, and they did have a couple Santo ones, and I did think about buying them, but I was aware that there was the wacky 70s color ones, and these were the early 60s black and white ones, which are probably well worth watching. But I was just like, I wanted to see weird psychedelic colors, so I went for the something weird disc that would offer me that instead. This if this had been one of the picks, I would have watched this 25 years ago, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I came to these movies maybe 15 years ago with the earliest. I'm not as well versed as I wish I was, but yeah.
I'm not a black and white snob.
Nearby.
I mean, or not a black and white hater, I should say. But you know, when it's caught film, I kind of prefer weird, cheap film color.
I've never seen any of the black and white ones. I sort of took a little peek at some of the screen caps, and they look great. But yeah, who knows if they're as fun as these? I don't know.
They may be better, you know. I don't know, because he was younger and probably more agile at that time.
I know a few of them. He basically doesn't have dialogue, and I think the first 3 were shot in Cuba. Which
Sure,
weird.
I don't know.
That could have easily happened. Yeah. I didn't know there were some Santo movies made in black and white. Like in my as I recollect, they're almost all in color, and specifically because he often fights with Blue Lemon and like with Martians and whatnot. So like the Technicolor in the 60s and 70s was just starting in Mexico after the golden age of cinema ended, which was around late 50s, mid 50s. So that's when these kind of movies, kind of mexploitation, started becoming popular. So yeah. Mexploitation.
No, yeah, no, that sounds about right to us. We did what, Hicksploitation last week, so all sorts of ploitations around.
I was actually listening to that episode, and I was like, this is very adequate, because El Santo movies and all the movies made in Mexico during the 60s, 70s, and even like 80s very well fall into that category of mexploitation. So even El Santo ones, which eventually became cult films. So
Luke, you said you'd dome us a synopsis. Can't be too hard.
Yep. The Cristaldi family is cursed after one of their ancestors defeated Dracula and the Wolfman. So Professor Cristaldi in the modern day employs the help of the only people who can help him defeat the Wolfman, El Santo and the Blue Demon. They fail to save the professor, but when his daughter, niece, and granddaughter are taken by Dracula, they turn up and kill everyone.
It's just a ridiculous plot. Like, it makes sense, but and also the gadgets, like the amount, like a very Get Smart, very like early kind of what's the detective movies, like with the watch,
the communication watches.
Yeah, exactly. So
I also love that most of the time they're in like nice like dinner jackets and little turtlenecks, but still the mask, just walking around stylishly. I love it.
This is the thing. We went over Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula in that previous, in Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary a long time ago, and talked about how the fashion was a huge part of that, and they made a big deal. The fits in this movie are insane. Everyone in this movie looks better than everyone in Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. Like all the outfits. That's my notes are just what they're wearing. It's so good.
No, Dracula himself, I mean, obviously is supposed to look somewhat like Hammer Horror's Christopher Lee. You know, and he's one tick off. I mean, he's pretty, like, I'm like, yeah, this guy's Dracula, sure.
Yeah, he's sexy Dracula.
He's pretty darn.
And Rufus was maybe a sort of a casual Wolfman, but he was still cool, and he was always dressed well, just like everybody.
Yeah, it took me a minute to work out that I guess this should be called versus Dracula and the Wolf Men and Women. There's a lot of wolf people.
It did sort of confuse me towards the end when Rufus was not a wolfman, but he was trying to kill the other wolfmen by moving the plank around. I don't know, but yeah, there were several wolves people.
But yeah, I obviously Dracula's a man of men. Yeah, there's that.
There's a couple of female vampires.
The
Was he even there, or was he a dream sequence, the bald one? I wasn't quite sure.
I was confused. I had to rewind it and make sure that wasn't like Dracula without his hair for some reason. But yeah, it's
I think the Munsters, Lewis just kind of showed up for a scene to, do the job, because in this movie, Dracula never manages to actually bite someone, whereas this middle-aged balding guy like immediately does. He's just like, he's skilled at this. He's probably been doing it longer.
He is here. Dracula is mostly here to provide reaction shots, and provide he does.
He certainly does. Yeah, I was actually it was kind of funny seeing how they were suddenly like Santo and Blue Demon were playing like cards with the two women whilst Dracula was trying to bite the little girl. And I was like, oh yeah, let's just chill and play, I don't know, dominoes or whatever. And whilst Dracula tries to kill us. It is kind of funny. I mean, it relies on that, I guess, funny-ish of the lucha libre and the exaggeration of it all. But yeah.
I was really reminded by 60s Batman anytime they were chilling at home.
Yeah, I wanted the Biff Bam Pow cards during the first warehouse battle.
I like this better than Batman because they don't do the Biff Bam Pow. I'm sorry, I know you're into 60s Batman, but I like this toned down approach more because we know it's kind of campy. We don't need to be reminded.
I wrote down it's still a first class beatdown. It's just yeah. I mean, that was also on the nose. That woman's stealing their shtick anyway. They shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, but also when they fight people, they throw them a bunch, which is also better.
Of course they would.
Like they're professional wrestlers, so the fight scenes are gonna be well choreographed. Like
exactly.
And I do have most of the extras they're throwing around are probably just low-ranking wrestlers who they've gotten in.
Probably.
At the end of the movie, not counting the final wrestling match, which of course is the real end of the movie. Let's not downplay that. But the last narrative part of the movie, I should say, they're like, let's tell Lucida it was all a dream the next day, and Grandpa's dead, and Mom.
Yeah, let's just.
We didn't see what happened to Mom.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what happened with the mom. Is she just permanently a vampire?
She just disappeared one night. Yeah. Let's gaslight the girl and tell her like every traumatic event she just lived through, it was a dream. Hey, that's all in your head, little girl. Yeah. No, the real ending of the movie.
Well, the real ending is the SmackDown, of course. I mean,
I was trying to figure out if there was some moral lesson they'd learned during the film that applied to the wrestling match, but I don't think so.
I like the announcer does say that the truth that evil has been overcome at the end of the wrestling match. I love the idea that the true evil is the opponents.
Guys. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was actually just reading because, like I said at the beginning of this, I had never watched a Santo movie before. So apparently, the Mexican government banned lucha libre from being televised in national television. So the only resource that they had was to insert these lucha, like actual wrestling matches at the beginning, sometimes in the middle, and then at the end of the movie, so that the rest of Mexicans had access to it. Because, like, yeah, sure, you could go to the downtown area and watch a wrestling match, but it wasn't really common, especially since the television was on the rise, so everyone just stayed at home. So because I thought that was really interesting. Like, why are you like putting out a match that is easily 5 minutes? Like, this just cuts a long time of the movie, and apparently that's the reason the Mexican government made lucha libre illegal on television. So they just had movies to show them.
It's almost like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, those
like
scenes
how
are so
there was
weird.
A lot of it wasn't cool to have violent movie, I guess violent TV maybe, and then you have cool just make it in video games.
Yeah.
So kids can walk to the arcade and do it.
We're gonna plant the camera in one place on this really surreal set with no audience, and then tell you it's the largest arena in Mexico.
Well, you can't see the audience through all the fog. Yeah. That's the whole. It's sort of like Luke's background right now.
Yeah.
Foggy.
Yeah, I've got legions of adoring fans behind me. Lining up to watch me record live.
But yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that's like I'm not saying that to slam the movie. That's absolutely fun. It's very
Yeah.
surreal.
I
I
mean,
don't know if any of you have watched these movies, and if this keeps going, they will be my picks before too long. But the
yeah.
Suzuki Station movies, Branded to Kill, or especially Tokyo Drifter. This made me think of
Oh.
Tokyo Drifter a few times because
Yeah, Tokyo Drifter. It's like that classic 60s, 70s guitar psych thing.
I only
Yeah.
know it
But
from you bringing it up a lot, Matt.
Okay, well that's why it is on the possible to becoming list. Maybe I'll bump that up a
Yeah.
notch.
But it's also, I don't remember a whole lot about Tokyo Drifter, but I also feel like that was sort of the feeling that anything could happen kind of a movie like this.
Right, right. And that's another thing where the caught film black and white versus color. Branded to Kill is probably the better movie. It has a tighter plot, but it just doesn't have the psychedelic color. And I should, I kind of had to cram this movie in just because I've had a busy week. But I really do need to take a look at a black and white Santo and see if I've been missing it. Like the early ones were like the ones on fire or something. I don't know.
I mean, the first one was called Santo versus the Evil Brain. I mean, that makes me want to watch it.
How do you fight? Is it a brain in a person? Or is it just a
If
brain?
it's just a brain, then I'm pretty sure he could beat it quite easily, Matt.
You just curb stomp it. It's gone. Even if it is evil.
What if just the end is he just punches like a prop rubber brain until it explodes?
Then that movie might be better than this one.
Right.
The poster for that one, Santo versus Contra El Cerebro, the evil brain, quite literally. It has like a green guy, the poster, like kind of like a green goblin. I had never heard of that, but I think one of the most famous, well, at least that I know, is Santo versus the Guanajuato mummies, which there's a state in Mexico that has mummies, like the ones in Egypt and whatnot. And so apparently it's just El Santo fighting a national relic, which are mummies. And,
yeah, that was the one Mercy
Oh,
first
yeah.
told me about, was the one with the mummies.
I don't think I've seen that one, but maybe I'll check that out.
Well, he made over like 50 movies.
Yeah, it's
so
amazing.
Specifically from El Santo franchise. I think there are more than 300 lucha libre kind of style movies. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
he fights
it's intimidating.
everyone. Yeah, I know, he fights everyone. So.
And I saw
I'm not
listed,
even close to. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw it listed on the wiki that he's only cameoing in 2 of those 50. So he's starring in the other 48.
Nice.
Yeah, legend.
I haven't seen every Godzilla movie either. It's just I have trouble with big, huge piles of work.
Movies.
Yeah, I know. It feels like work when there's 50 of them.
Made in different.
Dude, I'm at the point I haven't seen every Star Wars movie. They've made too many now.
I haven't seen every Star Wars series, that's for sure. But I mean, the last one that came out, I heard that you have to watch another series to understand it. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, you can just. That's one thing about this one. You can just jump right in. You don't really have to know much more about Santo. I mean,
yeah, same thing with Godzilla movies.
It's that older school of franchise, like the earlier Bonds, where they always assume you haven't seen a previous one,
which usually is
kind
great.
of miss. Yeah,
I don't feel like newer Bond movies and Mission Impossible movies always drop these little breadcrumbs relating to other ones, and I've always missed something in between. And I'm like, I wouldn't really feel any differently about this movie if I knew James Bond's dead wife was. I don't feel like that adds a whole lot. He seems sad. Let's let him be sad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's like modern, brain trust greed, like Godzilla, Santo, WKRP in Cincinnati. You can come in at random, watch a few, you've got the vibe. Later, you could return. I could say, hey, I'm a fan of it. I've just seen 5 episodes. I liked it, but it's, a modern show. It's like, no, you will commit to this show. This is your new gospel for the next however long you're going to watch it.
Yeah, you don't get his daughter is in the teleporter. I'm sorry, that was a low blow, but his daughter's in the teleporter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Why
you
not?
didn't get it? Okay.
I got it. And they didn't.
I didn't get it.
No.
It's
I don't
okay.
feel like
You don't
explaining
need
it
to.
though. I don't want to explain
You don't need to.
But you definitely don't. Yeah, you don't need to watch all of like chronologically El Santo movies. You can just like hop in whichever even decade you'd like, and it's still the same formula. It's still the same guy and the same mask, and he's fighting the bad guy. So yeah, pretty
Even
cult
the
classic.
That said, if you
Yeah.
did catch Mark's reference, hashtag daughters in the teleporter, you can tweet us
Yeah,
that way. You can still
start it.
tweet when you do it as an action.
Even
I don't
though
actually, right?
as of this recording, she's no longer in the teleporter, but
Right.
you know,
Okay.
she went did
Hashtags often don't make sense. Getting back to here.
She's with Wesley Crusher now. Anyway,
Oh damn!
no, she's not.
I just realized El Santo was born 1917.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like 50 doing
Yeah.
this. 50
Yeah, what a
on my
life that
decks.
dude lived.
But I was gonna say, even the last movie I watched had the same guy playing Dracula, and it still didn't really have continuity with this Santo Dracula movie, because he invented a time machine and went back in time. Also, that I saw a
course.
cut that was made specifically for Europe that had full frontal nudity.
Mm.
And
Oh,
it was
Santo?
Mom's new dress. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Santo and the Treasure of Dracula. The release in Europe
No,
was
no.
called...
I'm asking, did he have full frontal
Oh
nudity?
no, sorry. I'm sorry.
Did he have a little
He
mask
can't
on
take
his
mask
pecker,
off.
like-
That would be amazing. I wish it was that. It was released. That version was released in Mexico in 2012 as El Vampiro y el Sexo.
Ooh, yeah.
So very straightforward too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I think I brought it up, future pun intended, on the podcast, but near my house. And Luke, maybe you've seen this. There's a house where they have two young children, and there's a Buddha statue out front with a giant phallus.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
And it currently has like a Halloween hat on the tip.
Nice.
Oh wow, festive. Just
So
in for the holidays.
I'm walking by a few days ago, and the whole family's getting ready for a day trip. So the kids are kind of like, yay, walking by the Buddha with the phallus with the Halloween hat. I'm like, what's going on here?
Should put tiny little beards on the balls.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I guess the
Pumpkins.
shrine worked because they have two young kids. So
Yeah.
Eh, yeah.
if it works.
Speaking of mystical things, did you guys know that Santo never revealed his face, never unmasked himself until he made a television appearance in 1984, and then he died of a heart attack less than a week later?
Oh, I wish you didn't tell me that. Jeez. I mean, I
What?
just wanted to know I just wanted to think he never revealed his face.
But that's what happened, though.
No, I know.
That makes it real, right?
Yeah, no, that's
Doesn't it?
legendary. I love that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's me. Are you sure he died a week after that? I feel like I saw his final
It was close.
appearance was in his son's film or something where he did.
Yeah, his
cameo.
son's film was 82.
Oh, okay. Somehow I
And maybe
got
that's his final film appearance, Matt, but
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. He revealed his face January 26, 1984, and he passed away in February 5th.
Okay. I just somewhere gotten it in my head that he had done that in 2000, but probably not because he was dead.
He
no.
would have been
Yeah.
83. I don't know. He could have been 83.
You can be in your 80s.
He's
Well, maybe
related
maybe he passed the mask on to his son like they do sometimes. Maybe there is still an El Santo running around.
Well,
No,
I
some of
think the
them have.
mask. I think the mask that has his son, like El Hijo del Santo, is quite similar to the one that El Santo had. So probably could have done that. Just pass the mask on.
Yeah.
well.
And
he
there's
is-
also, I think, the son of Blue Demon. So they're all
Oh hell
just,
yeah!
Nice.
yeah, populating
It's like
Mexico.
kabuki actors in Japan or something. Just passing it on down.
Blue
Speaking-
Demon made it
Yeah.
until 2000.
Huh?
Ooh, okay, maybe that's who I was reading about then. I don't know. Hey,
Oh,
Son
yeah,
of
maybe.
Mhm.
El Hijo del Santo, the son of Santo, is 60, and he's still doing
Mhm.
it. He's still
Nice.
wrestling.
Luke, I guess this is oriented more your way because you know way more about wrestling than I do. But a lot of this does seep into Japanese wrestling. I mean, they kind of ride these waves a lot, don't they?
Yeah, me and Mercy went to the like Mexican Independence Day celebration in Tokyo, and there were loads of luchador fans there. Like that stuff is big here. In American wrestling, there are a couple of like masked luchas, like Rey Mysterio and stuff, but that's a gimmick. There's like one or two guys like that. But Japan, like Mexico, they have a bunch of those. That's just like a whole genre of wrestler. Like even in Tekken, the character King with like the big tiger mask, he's based on a famous Japanese wrestler. And in Japan, it's a really big thing that the mask gets handed down. Like you mentioned Kabuki mat, it's like that. So like there's a famous one called Tiger Mask, but I think we're on like the 15th dude in that mask.
No, one of my more magical experiences was about 10 years ago walking through a mall in Maebashi, Japan. Maybe I just gotten lunch and the mall, usually it's like a J-pop singer or a magician, but that particular day it was luchador wrestling. So yeah, I hung out there for an hour, didn't I?
Nice.
My day's plans changed a bit.
Well, I've spent a lot of time watching wrestling. I literally have this big scar on my wrist from copying wrestling moves and throwing my friend into a hedge and jumping on him.
Nice.
Guess how old I was?
18.
I want to say 30.
26.
Nice.
Of course.
And
I'm a
bone sober.
Oh,
nice.
of course.
We
don't
just
expect
watched a wrestling
anything
show
else.
and we were very excited.
I'm a very casual wrestling fan, but I love watching it when I don't love the ritual of watching the TV broadcast every single week. Maybe it's an American thing where it leans too hard into teasing you, but I love watching pay-per-views.
Yeah, well, that's it. I haven't really watched wrestling since I moved to Japan because it's a social event for me.
Yeah.
But when I lived in my hometown and there was like my whole big group of friends, we would watch the pay-per-view every week, every month. And we would play like elaborate drinking games, and we had a very expensive replica belt that the winner would keep for the next month. And like it would just be a display in my living room until the next pay-per-view, and maybe someone else would win it from me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very
Those are
cool.
the days. But yeah, wrestling's one of those things you can kind of like it, and then once you actually go to an event live, that's when you get it. Just because the energy in the crowd and the way the performers are playing off the crowd and everything.
Yeah, one of the coolest little like side gigs I ever had was running sound for a wrestling promotion that was at Six Flags for a month, like about 10 years ago. So it was like, and it was specifically a monster themed wrestling. So it was like they all were like the Wolfman, or I guess kind of like this. Well, the friend of mine who was running that is actually the guy who introduced me to Santo, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this will make sense.
There's like zombies and Jason and Freddy would wrestle each other, and it was fun just hitting the intro music for everybody.
That does sound fun.
That's great.
So the commentator on the wrestling matches is that accurate? I mean, with the whole hero heel thing, because he's so biased.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Commentator, like, and real. Also these days they play it a little more cleverly, where often, like, the most popular characters are like kind of like the outsider, the underdog. So like the commentators will be slagging off the one they know the crowd likes to like row you up that bit more when he wins, sort of thing. But yeah, they're definitely super biased because they're all actors. They're all part of the story.
Yeah,
like the commentators have also, like, they've probably got a script that tells them the big moves, so that in advance they can think of a like witty line to say. But
yeah, I was actually reading because I had no idea of the whole like heel and the technical, like the good guy and whatnot. So in lucha libre, there's a third category, which is the exotic, el exótico, which are usually wrestlers, luchadores in drag, and they put on like big feather boas and just makeup and like sequins and just the whole show. And there are one of the most popular ones. Like I was telling Mercy, there is a Japanese-born Mexican wrestler named Yosuke Santa Maria with a heart, and he is an exotico. Like he falls into that category of just wrestling with cosplay, basically, just like a very elaborate drag. So yeah, those are the exoticos also in lucha libre.
There's a little bit of that in the American wrestling, but not enough for it to be its own genre. But like there's guys like Goldust, who when they first came in, like their whole character was kind of gay panicky. But
I mean, it's like
these days he leans more into just being surreal and weird.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Mus run a fun run as Goldust and Stardust one time. That was great.
Hell yeah.
I think we've tweeted the picture at some point.
Probably, yeah.
It's a good one. No,
I guess.
I was just listening to geez, I forget the wrestler's name, but a female wrestler who, is like trying in America trying to do the, kawaii thing and showing up as like various Disney or Pixie characters or something, and then having a SmackDown. So someone's doing it in America.
Yeah.
I feel like I've definitely seen. I've mainly been watching AEW pay-per-views, which is sort of like the edgier stuff. And there's definitely been a lot of cosplay in that. Like one of the guys did a Sephiroth thing, I think.
Oh yeah, that's Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I saw him live in his last Japanese show.
Yeah, his finisher is One-Winged Angel.
Like, yeah, he came out. He had a big opening animation from the guy who made Undertale, and then he came out dressed as Sans.
Yeah, I remember that too. God,
but I watched that show and it was really good. Almost every match was Japanese hero fights foreign baddie.
Yeah, they did a thing where Japanese wrestlers came over here, and it was just the opposite. It's like the Japanese guys were going to lose unless it was. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. It was one of those things where you could tell exactly what was going to happen because you know that the belt's on the line. Japanese guy's going to lose. If it wasn't, then he would win. And I don't know. Still, some amazing Japanese guys who I'd never seen before.
Just need a more creative writer's room for plot.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this like new generation of stuff is more creative than WWE. I know that a lot of people prefer that more polished version of things, but it's like I want to see something weird, surprise me.
The problem with the WWE was often there would be a clear like crowd favorite, but it wasn't who Vince McMahon wanted to be the crowd favorite. So like they would get sidelined to some like lesser belt, and then they'd be really pushing this guy that no one cares about. That would often happen.
John Cena. I mean, I like John Cena as an actor, but he was so boring to me as a wrestler.
Me and my friends liked John Cena just because it was so unpopular to like John Cena. We would go to events and the crowd, you'd hear the crowd chanting, and every single child is going, "Let's go Cena." And then every single adult is going, "Cena sucks." And we were the only adults cheering, "Let's go Cena."
Oh man.
Is The Rock also in the WWE?
Yeah, he was. These days he'll show up, do like some microphone work and maybe one move, but he won't have matches anymore because the insurance is too expensive. He's got to go and film a movie. If he gets into doing the wrestling, that's costing people like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, think of Black Adam 2. How are you gonna
make is that
Black
a thing?
Adam 2?
Is that a joke or is it for real? Okay,
that is a joke.
Okay, just making sure, because The Rock said none of his movies have lost money.
So far, it's a joke, but check back.
Check back after Ghost Rider too. We got Ghost Rider too.
I've definitely told these stories on the podcast before, but my favorite thing is when new American wrestlers come to the UK because they don't know how UK fans work yet. Because UK fans generally like the villains. So Yeah.
Okay.
Of course we do. They're more interesting. So we were watching. They have a side. WWE has like a side one called NXT, which is like the young wrestlers they're like training up, and they came over. I think it was their first UK show. So the bad guy's like trying to mouth off against the crowd, but we're all cheering for her, and she just freezes. She doesn't know what to do because her whole routine is based on her getting booed, and we're all like, "We love you." But then the other ones, the ones who've been doing it for a while, they love coming to the UK because it's when they get to feel like the fan favorite for a little while. Like there's this one, an actual British wrestler. He always wins when he does a show in London, of course. And he like gets down and he's like puts on a crown and tells the whole audience to like get on their knees for him. And most of us did. Of course, they would never do that in the States.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that for the real king, right?
No, the opposite.
I guess.
Well, I know. What if he wrestled? What if King Charles was not just fake wrestling, but he was literally wrestling?
I would very much like to face King Charles in a steel cage.
Well, we all want that to happen.
Yeah,
give to our Patreon.
But if Wade Barrett if Wade Barrett was actually the King of England, I would be fully a royalist.
All right.
One can dream. I guess the most fun I've had watching wrestling actually was with our regular guest Andrew when we were kids. We just put on the most low rent, public access, probably filmed in a garage 4 blocks from the house wrestling. Turn off the sound and just add in our own voices for the wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Because there's no writing in that, right? It's not scripted like higher level stuff. They're just doing the move. So we would,
Yeah.
do the script. Maybe that's why I'm so like interested in the writers' room of a professional wrestling endeavor.
Like as a music lover, you probably know that Billy Corgan and Bob Mould have both written for wrestling.
I didn't know Bob Mould did, but I definitely knew Billy Corgan did.
Yeah, it's weird.
So what is your favorite beatdown in this? It could be one of the matches or it could be one of the Batman style beatdowns, but favorite I guess there's 3 wrestling matches and 2 major beatdowns. Is that what we're looking at?
My favorite is just Santo and Blue Demon throwing Dracula and Wolfman simultaneously to their deaths on spikes. That's incredible.
Why does Count Dracula have a pit of steaks in his
Because
dungeon?
Dracula was Vlad the Impaler. Someone doesn't know his Dracula
lore.
lore.
Yeah.
I was pre-scanning the IMDb review, so I got the idea from one of those. But they were like, it's like Superman having like a kryptonite shower in his in the Fortress of Solitude or something.
Which he also does in Superman 2.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I guess it's very realistic then.
My favorite is absolutely the first time that Santo harpoons a wolfman and he turns into a pile of smoke. It ruled.
I love
great.
I love the face that the wolfman has when he tells the victim werewolf, "You got to walk the plank," and he starts going. Then he starts grinning like an idiot as he starts shaking the plank. Like, I'm a little stinker.
I love the look. I love the ending where Santo just pushes the Wolfman and Dracula to some
both of them, yeah.
stakes. Yeah, both of them, and that's magically they die. And also there's a part when the guy, I don't know if it's the Wolfman or Dracula's helper, but he has a dagger, and just the dagger magically like turns and stabs him.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, this dagger can detect non-humans or whatever, and so just suddenly it turns and stabs him, and he's like, I've done so much evil in my life that I'm no longer a human, and dies. That was also quite rad. But yeah,
Eric, that's our we haven't really talked about Eric.
Sleazy guy in a way that I'm not 100% happy with.
Didn't think about that, but
is he kind of a Coffin Joe vibe? I haven't really seen much Coffin Joe, but I feel like that's the
dude. I mean, Coffin. He's not Coffin Joe. Coffin Joe is his own thing.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna bring a Coffin Joe movie in at some point.
Okay,
if any of the rest of you see those.
That was one where I didn't buy it because you had to buy all of them at once around the year 2000. It was $100, so I just couldn't be bothered.
Absolutely bananas. Possibly the most evil protagonist ever in a film.
So yeah, I'm sure you can watch them on YouTube now, but when I had to spend $100 to watch it, I was like, that's not the time. So maybe now's the time. No, my favorite was the warehouse beatdown, simply because you're also beating the boxes, which amplifies everything. It just makes it seem like absolute chaos. The fake cave is very good, but
as soon as she caused a scene and started a fight, they all forgot they had guns.
You want to be honorable. I mean, even bad guys on a certain level must respect Santos. They can't just they can't just shoot him in the head. They can try and take his mask off, but they can't shoot him in the head. They have to interface with him properly. He's a legend.
Well, also we saw where Santo has an advantage over Spider-Man. Spider-Man baddies can just pull his mask off, but these guys were delayed by undoing the complex lace at the back.
That's true.
I mean, doing it properly, let's just not rip it off. You have to undo it like corset. Yeah.
So luchador kind of like Mandalorians, I guess.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
or maybe Mandalorians just stole this entire thing.
Yeah, probably the other way. Yeah. Good point.
Like Baby Yoda is the girl.
Yes, she was Baby Yoda.
She's Baby Yoda. Um,
Now I want to see Pedro Pascal play Santo in like a. I want them to do a
Biopic.
biopic, but it
Mark.
also just features all of the Dracula and stuff, as if that will really happen to him.
oh my god,
You know,
you need to write this.
I don't know if that would be. I'm sure it's already on the works because there was a very a famous not famous. There was a movie made of Cantinflas, this Mexican comedian, like very big, also during the 60s and 70s, and it was kind of a hit, but also had very mixed reviews because the actor who played Cantinflas is from Spain, which
Mm.
that's not Mexico. Just so that was kind of weird, and I don't know if a Santo movie would work. I was actually just today watching a movie about Cassandro, an exotic wrestler, and it's just it got released this year, and it stars Gael Garcia Bernal, very famous Mexican actor who started in Y tu mamá también by Alfonso Cuarón. And I think, I don't know, a movie made of an El Santo movie.
I don't know if they would ever make an official Santo movie because even today, most like people in the wrestling industry don't like films which actually portray like the behind the scenes aspect. Like everyone who watches WWE these days, no one believes it's real. Maybe young kids, but people are watching it knowing it's a performance. But even so, they hate movies like The Wrestler, which show the behind the scenes, the way it's worked. It's just you're not meant to break the kayfabe. So I would imagine that like the estate of Santo would not want a movie that shows, he was an actor, it was performed, scripted.
Yeah, exactly. How real it got. And
makes sense.
And but more especially Mark was saying that El Santo just showed his face quite late in his life. Like for most of his life he remained masked. So to show
the reason I said Pedro Pascal would be good is because we know he can act his ass off without ever showing his face.
Yeah,
it's true.
You could
show more of your face in this case.
He is Chilean.
I mean, you get eyes and a mouth here, right? So you got a little more to work with.
Tom Hardy could do it.
But it's like, would I rather watch The Wrestler again than watch 15 Santo movies? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I
kind of. I want it to be real, to be honest. Like movies about magicians aren't usually very fun. Like movies where a magic trick happens, that's fun.
Well, that's why Prestige is so good, because it never lets you know what's real magic and what's not.
It's both.
Yeah.
It works. But,
so if we had a biopic of just Santo the character as in his movies, I guess the analogy is would that work with, say, James Bond, where we're just doing the character himself through the movies we've already seen?
It would be like
maybe.
Forrest Gump, the amount of stuff that would happen to him over the course of his life.
I mean, I was thinking Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, even though, what was that guy's name? The Gong Show guy?
Oh, Chuck Barris.
Chuck Barris. Even though before he died, he did just admit that he made all of it up, which I wish he hadn't. But
yeah, that was a bad call. Oops. Just sometimes you gotta take your secrets to your deathbed.
He didn't care. He didn't give a shit. But
I'm not a big horror movie fan, so I wish all horror movies from now on would just have one very strong, very competent guy who's just there to deal with everything.
I mean, Indiana Jones is definitely sort of that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. If there's just someone tough and sensible there, it's not a horror movie anymore, and it becomes a different genre.
I mean, that's really how Hellboy movies. Well, the good Hellboy movies are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly like those better than most horror movies. I love those movies. It is sort of a little bit like that, where you're seeing the worst things that could possibly imagine, and you have the big demon to help you with them.
I did find it funny they were
the monsters.
Like they're fighting satanic forces, but he's the blue demon. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I should
Yeah,
just.
you're right.
Here's the quotes I wrote down during this movie. I've gotten a thing recently where I'm like, well, I wrote down the quote.
Yeah.
Satan is very proud of you. That made me that felt very warm. That felt very warm, like kind of like when
Mhm.
Optimus Prime at the end of the Transformers ride tells you
Mhm.
he's like proud of you or something.
Mhm.
Freedom fighters, you've saved the whatever Autobots.
Mhm.
Satan, make your will fulfilled. That has some nice alliteration. Will fulfilled. I like that. Satan, make your will fulfilled. That's it's got to be somebody's motto. I mean, I guess it's this guy's motto. And what was the other one I had? Oh, Santo knows countless holes. That was a direct quote, and I still don't know what that means.
I think some of the writing
Holds.
holds.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry, I had
I mean,
turned
that's
on.
also kind of sexy, but
I had turned on the automatic subtitles, and I didn't think about it hard enough.
some of the
Well,
writing is great here. Like there's a line where Santo says, "If you found your way in here, you can find your way out. So get out of here." Which is and also I think my favorite line in the movie, which I'm spelling wrong in my search. I don't know. There's something where Blue Demon says, I know that something's wrong because you've been talking to me for longer than 10 minutes. Oh, we spoke more than 10 words together. I could tell you were worried. That's
yeah.
a great line. Like it tells
Yeah.
you so much without, without hitting you over the head with it.
I was a little
But
confused because at first I was like, "Is Santo the father of this family?" And I'm like, no, he just hangs out with them all the time, I guess. And
Yeah,
then you see,
a
but then
family friend.
so I'm like, maybe he's because there's no father in the family. So I was like,
Mhm.
is he that? But then he shows up with his girlfriend. So I'm like, well, okay, they're not saying he's like sexless either. I'm not. Yeah, it was
But
weird.
his
I guess he
girlfriend
just
is the
hangs
cousin
out.
though. That only got dropped for a second, but yeah,
Okay,
she's Lena is Laura's cousin.
okay, there we go. So, but he is he might be overstaying his welcome. I mean, he did just save
Well,
most,
I
but
think
not
he
all
was
of them.
asked
But
to stay there to protect them. Yeah.
will
he's
he
like
But
do?
Rambo
just
in Last Blood.
If we're going by that way, he did a half-ass job.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they were
Yeah.
downstairs playing cards while one of them was upstairs unguarded.
And then like Blue Demon and Santo where they were just playing chess. Like they simply chill at the what's the name of the family? Cavaldi,
Cristaldi.
Cristaldi.
Cristaldi. They just chill at the Cristaldi household, playing chess and cards.
Yeah,
So
my note was
yeah,
they're
family
playing the
friend.
wrong game of chess at this moment. So
They got to like sharpen their wrestling skills using chess to simulate a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
So we all watched. Did we all watch the English dub?
Yes, and if you
Okay, yeah.
watch the link I sent you, that is a new dub. Is a recent.
So
dub.
I went and watched a little bit of the Spanish afterwards just to see how. Oh, the music it seems is the same.
Yeah, it's a weird mix where the music sort of just gets lower when they put dialogue in because I think they didn't have the original music track. But I like the newer dubs. Like I think that they're fun without being too stuffy
There was
and
some
they're
weird bits
accurate.
where it felt like lines were the wrong way around.
Yeah, there's
Like it would go like, likewise, nice to meet you.
yeah, I missed that. But I think
You
that
know
falls
what?
under the fun part.
Yeah, I tried to watch Luke share the dub version, and I tried to watch it. It just it I couldn't. It doesn't. It wouldn't compute in my brain to watch El Santo speak in English. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
yeah.
get it.
it was
I
completely different. So I just searched for the movie in Spanish. Definitely a lower quality. Like I watched it freaking like a recording on a potato, but
Mm.
it was in Spanish. So
Yeah, the
that
print
was
we were watching looked pretty nice. I mean, visually.
there's some new reissues that I believe were from a couple of years ago. So they're very, very recent, but that's not all the movies, obviously. That's just 5 or 6 of them. So I definitely want to go and watch the black and white ones in the original language if I'm able to.
Yeah, I would have preferred, but I couldn't find Spanish and with subtitles anywhere, so I just gave up and watched the English one.
yeah, no, it's probably for the best. But because there's you can find a lot of very old Mexican films on YouTube or just like Facebook even, but they usually don't have English or even Spanish subtitles. So yeah, it's not worth it. But
I was
yeah, the dub version maybe maybe we watched a different movie, you know, maybe the dubbed version, yeah, from the Spanish one.
That happens in Japan, especially when I was teaching more adults. It'd be like, oh, I want to study English. I'll watch Miyazaki movies in English. I'm like, do not do that. You will ruin the movie.
Yeah, no.
Totoro becomes a bad movie when you watch it in English.
No, but I want celebrity voice Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, you
to voice
don't.
Totoro.
No, you don't.
Oh, and Christian Bale as Howl, right?
Ooh,
like,
no,
Oh
you
my
don't need that.
god.
It's especially the
Yeah.
kids. I think it's the worst with kids because you know the way kids talk in Japan is just so specific. When you dub it, it breaks it. Which I
But-
guess is why
Yeah.
Totoro came to mind first.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was way less picky about whether I was watching subtitled or dubbed. Maybe
because you had no choice.
Yeah, well, no, but I didn't really care until I was about 15. I don't think.
It's because when
it's
you're
like-
a kid, you don't really understand that some things are good and some things are bad. Everything's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't feel the emotion coming from the Japanese voice actor. You're just like, yay, cartoons.
Well, I'll
Although
bring
my
this.
one
Yeah.
complaint about Japanese voice actors is that they cannot leave anything silent. So that's why you get all the.
Wow.
I love
So-
watching Dragon Ball and someone's just like they're angry.
yeah,
and
when
they're
we-
just,
no,
making dancing noises.
We turned on the dub for Dragon Ball once, and Bulma suddenly sounded like a middle-aged woman. We're like, that doesn't
No,
work.
that
Like,
those are
Goku's just
awful.
annoying.
But the thing is that Dragon Ball got so popular in the US with the dub that a lot of people are like, no, I insist on watching the dub with the Bruce Falconer soundtrack.
Ooh.
And they're just wrong. It's terrible. It's very, very bad.
As for Santo and Blue Demon
Anyway,
versus
sorry.
the Dracula and the Wolfman, as is the purview of
Mhm.
this podcast, we're going to put on the if we think it's a film or it's a filth, or if you have a different answer, as I'm going to have.
This is a film, bro. It's not only a film, but you get like a third of a wrestling match as a bonus.
Yeah, this is peak film for me.
Those rules.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Film for me too.
Okay, I have a third answer, which because I was thinking,
Okay.
okay, it's like Batman, so I thought of the Batman movie. Is that a film or filth? And I'm like, well, that. So last night we got very nice Gouda cheese from artisanal Gouda cheese from the Nagato farm, and I ate too much of it, and it's that
Oh,
Okay.
artisanal Gouda
Okay.
cheese.
is that a fart?
What? No, it's Gouda.
I'm just thinking of an F word.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
thinking eating too much cheese, and then I'm thinking of an F word.
Oh,
Okay,
if you say I'm thinking of an F word, I'm
Fromage.
always thinking of a
it's
different word.
delicious.
There.
It's
Fromage.
delicious gluttony.
It's fromage.
Fromage.
It is. This is a feast. This film is a feast
Yeah.
of delicious Gouda. Instead of a review, I would
Yeah,
like to read
'cause-
some of the YouTube comments.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
That's
Nice.
good because I was going to say the lowest is a 3 and the highest is a 9, so neither work. So do the YouTube for sure.
These are all from one person. Andrew CAO6111. Both Dracula and Wolfman.
Yeah, that was the one I saw. That's the top comment. Both Dracula and Wolfman.
El Santo and Blue Demon, Return of World Dead Lita. LVE, so committed so many crimes. Rufus, you bastard, so pushy yoshied. He dead.
Yoshid? He did.
If take girl, get out.
Okay.
0
If-
out of 10 found this helpful.
So Luke,
they
plot
all have one
summaries.
thumb up. Every single one.
that could have been your plot summary.
There you go.
I think we should wind this in the farm, the Nagato farm, unless someone wants to throw out a final thought on the movie whose title I will not say in full again.
No, I'm pretty done.
Yeah.
Okay.
This ruled.
Yeah.
I look forward to continuing to make my way through these
Right.
for the rest of my life because that's how many there are.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you need to plug at the moment, Anna?
Nope. Just very cool movie. I will probably, along Mark, will watch the rest of the El Santo movies. All
Yes.
50 of them, and let's see what happens.
Nice.
But thank you so much for inviting me, you guys. This was very fun and very interesting.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for jumping in. Yeah.
And glad to make you watch Santo movies because they rule.
Yeah.
That's all of you. Yeah.
Making people in Mexico watch their first Santo. That's got to stand for something.
Dude, I've never seen an Elvis movie.
Oh, there was actually a question I wanted to ask you. Because you said you didn't watch these movies growing up. How, sort of, growing up in the 90s, how much did just luchador generally have a presence?
Well, for certain people, it did. Like, I have friends who are big luchador fans who are my age. But where I grew up and how I grew up very close to the US, we didn't really have much luchador culture around. It was more anime, like what Mark was saying, that Dragon Ball Z was dubbed in the US. It was also dubbed in Mexico. And so whenever I see Dragon Ball Z, I cannot think of it in any other language but Spanish. And even the voice actors who played Goku and Velma, like all of these characters, they're super famous in Mexico and Latin America. So not a lot of luchador in my childhood, a lot of anime, Ranma and a Half and Dragon Ball Z and stuff from PBS. So yeah, that would be my childhood.
We've had to watch a few American movies in Japanese here because I get the Blu-ray, and then my daughter's like, "Oh, this famous voice actor I love is doing the Japanese dub." So I'm watching like Transformers with English subtitles now.
Yeah,
it's funny. I can't think of I can't think of any American actors where I would just pass on the Japanese dub to watch the American do it. But maybe there's, I don't know.
Okay. But, I guess we'll close this one up. As for Films and Filth, we are that on X and Facebook. I actually said X. I'm finally just saying that. That's exciting.
Fuck you.
You know what? I tried.
I'm just calling
seriously,
it X for so long.
I tried to make an X account for podcast 1999, and I couldn't do it. It just kept saying the site was unavailable.
Okay,
I don't think X works.
So don't look for that one there. You could support podcast. This one, Films and Filth Podcast 1999. Time Enough Podcast, Luke Loves Pokemon, Hyrule Field Report, Game Show. You can support all that and hear it early and with extra blibber blabber, jibber jabber on Patreon at Podcastius. There, I ran a different tape today for our plug. That was very exciting.
Way to go.
It felt new.
Nice. Good work.
Fresh.
I remembered all the words.
Luke, ready to put on your mask?
I wish I had one.
Yeah, put on your mask.
You got one.
King Charles has put on his like skin mask made of his servants, and he's ready. He's in the steel cage waiting for you.
I know. Can I survive his sausage fingers attacks? I don't know.
Oh man, that looked painful. Like the rings on Charles' fingers. Oh no.
I just have to hit him once, and he'll pop like a balloon.
Like a sit. Just
yeah.
Just kick him into a pit of spikes.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. But the only reason my background is blurred is because I've been doing job interviews with people. I don't want them to see all the Pokemon and Godzilla posts.
Gotcha.
So are you, Matthew and Mark, are you guys also in Japan with Luke?
I am not.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah, me and Matt met through our day job, and then Mark's Matt's childhood friend.
But now we only talk through Zoom. We live in different cities.
Hey,
connection.
As adults do. Where are you from, Mark? Like,
I'm from Atlanta, and I just still live here. I just stayed here forever.
I left Atlanta.
Matt left. Matt left, and shockingly, very few of my friends ever leave here. Like, you're one of the very few people I know have left.
It's the same in my hometown. I go back in all the group chats, and everyone's just still going to the same pubs, doing the same things.
Yeah. It's like over the course of, I'm 46, and I have maybe 4 or 5 friends who have finally just left and gone somewhere else, and none of them are natives of Atlanta. It's like
I'm the only Atlanta native that left. Okay.
Not the only one. I mean, Andrew's in Athens. That counts as leaving. Dan went to Olympia. Is that it? Is that right? Yeah. Olympia, Washington.
I thought that was going to be in Georgia as well, and I was excited that you have like Atlanta, Athens, and Olympia.
We might. We have Rome.
Oh yeah, there's Rome in Georgia. Yeah.
That's where a lot of my
Oh,
family
okay.
is, from that part of Georgia, which is a little more of the redneck part. But, I
Mm.
mean, the thing is, the subset of where my mom is from, she's the only one who moved here. It's an hour away. She's the one who went to the big city. None of the rest of them did. So I have exactly one family member inside. Oh, I found out today that my estranged sister has 2 additional children I didn't know about.
Hmm.
That's weird.
Oh.
Okay,